Now on CoastTV News.
Ferry fees, the new pricing system starting soon. Rehoboth Beach bike safety.
I think a lot of the current issues that we've here is speed.
How city leaders are looking into keeping pedestrians safe. Big plans in Frankfurt.
We're having more homes built.
The opportunity businesses see and worries from those living nearby.
We're hoping that the next round of rain on the way will help us out with this drought situation.
This is CoastTV News at 11.
Riding the Cape May-Lewes Ferry, how much more it could cost you. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Emma Aiken. We begin with a trip across the Delaware Bay getting a little more expensive. The Cape May-Lewes Ferry is rolling out a new staircase pricing system for vehicle reservations starting June 1st. Under the new model, drivers who book earlier will pay the lowest base fare, but prices will increase as ferry capacity reaches 50, 75, and 90% full. The authority says car fares will also rise seasonally by between $2 and $6, depending on the time of year. Group and return trip discounts will now be based on a fixed percentage of the base fare. Other changes include a $2 increase for shuttle fares, reservation cancellation fees, and the handling fee charged to drivers who arrive without a reservation. Officials say the adjustments are expected to help offset rising operating costs. And a little bit more on this, one of the biggest changes expands the period when children ages 6 to 13 can ride free. Under the updated schedule, children in that age group will travel free from October through May, extending the previous off-season benefit. The authority estimates the revised fare schedule will generate about $1.5 million in additional annual revenue to offset those operating costs. Delaware lawmakers are moving to crack down on tools used to steal cars. The House unanimously passed a bill that would make it a crime to knowingly make, sell, transfer, or possess devices designed to bypass vehicle security systems. Supporters say the bill targets technology used to intercept key fob signals or program fake key fobs for keyless and push-to-start vehicles. Now, the measure does include exceptions for law enforcement, dealers, mechanics, locksmiths, and others with a lawful reason to use the devices. House Bill 351 now heads to the Senate. We are now taking a live look outside there into Milford. Our First Alert Chief Meteorologist Paul Williams joins us now with a look at our weather. Good evening to you, Paul.
Good evening to you, Emma. And right now we're looking pretty clear and pretty quiet at this point. We really didn't accumulate much in the way of rain. We did receive some, so that was a good thing, but not much in the way of precipitation. For us in Salisbury, we're holding at 57 degrees actually. And right now we take a look at the latest measurement of rain. And we started at midnight, so kind of like late last night, early morning hours. We only accumulated a 1/10 of an inch of rain in most locations, or less than that. So that exactly on point, a 1/10 of an inch in Ocean City, just a touch over it in Salisbury and Dover, and we didn't even reach a 1/10 of an inch of rain over in Cambridge. Now we have the newly updated maps on our drought situation around the Delmarva Peninsula, and we are under severe drought for everybody now throughout the entire area. So in essence, even though we received a little bit of rain, our drought situation has gotten a little bit on the worst side. Now we'll talk more about a warming trend we're expecting over the weekend, along with our next round of rain and when that will be. Emma?
Well, this is what a new bike trail network could someday look like in Rehoboth Beach. The city's Streets and Safety Committee is working on the project with a goal of helping people avoid some of the most dangerous high traffic roads like Rehoboth Avenue. The city says this would be different than a traditional bike path. The streets may look calm now, but as it gets warmer, they'll get busier in Rehoboth Beach.
I think a lot of the current issues that we've here is speed, often with the electric motors and things like that. Speed and pedestrian safety is a big concern.
Assistant City Manager Evan Miller says they want to make sure that people who prefer to walk and bike stay safe, which is why they're working on a new bike network. The suggested network does not call for a separate lane, rather clearer signs and more of them, especially on roads like Henlopen Avenue and King Charles Avenue. Now it's about securing the money.
So the grant application's been submitted, so we just wait, I think, a couple months before we hear back in terms of whether or not we've been accepted for that grant program.
Ronald Bolden lives on King Charles Avenue and says he's looking forward to things getting safer.
As you can see, we really don't have a path for actually bicycles. And when we are looking at trying to bike up and down, we have that along with all the traffic that we're trying to maneuver around.
With summer traffic right around the corner, city leaders say the goal is simple: make sure everyone can enjoy Rehoboth Beach safely, whether they're on 2 wheels or 2 feet. The city's Streets and Safety Committee said today pretty much all of their bicycle suggestions were passed by the Board of Commissioners, meaning now it's just about figuring out implementation. And this does bring us right into our Coast TV poll tonight. We want to know, what's the biggest bike safety concern in Rehoboth? Let's take a look at what you guys think. 68% of people say fast e-bikes, with 28% saying driver awareness. Busy crosswalks and narrow paths getting a little bit of the vote there. We do have a comment tonight from Bruce in Selbyville, who says e-bikes are dangerous when in inexperienced hands. You see young kids going fast and weaving in and out of other bike riders. Many are not wearing helmets and seem to expect cars to see them and yield. If you haven't voted yet, or if you want to leave a comment, you still can at coasttvnews.com or on the mobile app. And it is that time of year again. Free public parking in many Delaware beach towns is coming to an end. Starting tomorrow, the paid parking season begins in Rehoboth, Bethany, Dewey. Parking is set at $4 per hour. In Fenwick Island, a permit is required. Drivers can pay at meters or through the Park mobile app, depending on the location. The paid parking season runs through September 15th at those coastal communities. Remember, meters are already on in Lewis and stay on later. We do have a full parking guide with all of the dates and prices right now on coasttv.com. More area development in the town of Frankfort, this time with plans to build off Clayton Avenue. The goal is a common one: providing more affordable housing. The town says they believe growth will help turn Frankfort into more than just a town you pass through. On your screen now are the site plans for this property. These plans come alongside the 584 new homes that are on the way on the south side of the town at the Vines Creek Crossing development. All of this is part of the planned growth taking place in Frankfort, which hopes to bring younger families and working professionals to town. Businesses nearby say they see opportunity, but others are unsure if the town can keep up.
I think it'll help bring more business into Frankfort, and maybe new businesses will come in because we're having more homes built around the town.
I am anxious to see what it's going to look like next year as far as the traffic and everything.
Frankfort Town Manager Sheldon Hudson also shared that before things move forward, issues on the property such as drainage need to be addressed by agencies like DNREC and DelDOT. Maryland Farm Bureau sent a letter to the U.S. Department of Agriculture asking for a disaster declaration that would unlock federal assistance and emergency loans to help farmers impacted by the recent spring frost across the state. An internal survey found farmers are reporting an average estimated production loss of nearly 68% across crops, with some operations suffering almost a total loss. Farm Bureau leaders say many farmers lost an entire year of income in a single night and warn that while Maryland farmers are resilient, they cannot recover from this disaster alone. A growing shortage of home care workers in Delaware is leaving families feeling the strain, sparking new calls for action in Dover. Advocates filed Legislative Hall this morning, pushing lawmakers to increase Medicaid reimbursement rates for in-home nursing. Leaders say home care agencies struggle to compete with hospitals that often pay higher wages.
The cost to the state through Medicaid for hospital care, for skilled nursing facilities is much higher on a daily rate. But we're competing with them because of the salary differential.
Caregivers, patients, and supporters spent the day meeting with different lawmakers in hopes of seeing change. The Delaware Department of Correction is rolling out a new resource designed to give families and community members a better look at rehabilitation programs inside the state's correctional system. The new rehabilitative programs and activities directory highlights services like substance abuse treatment, education, job training, counseling, and reentry support for incarcerated individuals. DOC Commissioner Tara Taylor says the goal is to help people return home with the tools they need to succeed. We are learning more about a small plane that crash landed in the ocean where 11 people were rescued Tuesday. One of the survivors is recounting the harrowing events that led up to it. She says the pilot told passengers he got off course trying to avoid a storm and started running low on fuel, eventually forcing a ditch, landing in the Atlantic Ocean. Sherelle Hubbard has details on what passengers went through.
I say, Lord, save us, Lord, save us. Let someone see us, Lord, let someone see us.
Olympia Outen says she prayed for rescue after the aircraft she was in went down into the Atlantic, east of Florida, Tuesday. Thursday, she described the intense fear she felt before she and 10 others were rescued.
I thought we was get dead because all I see was more dark water around us.
According to the FAA, the small private plane, the Beechcraft BE-30 Super King Air 300, took off from Marsh Harbor in the Bahamas, bound for Grand Bahama International Airport, but landed in waters 80 miles from Melbourne, Florida.
My niece, she was on the wing, and she told me, she said, Annie, she said, swim. I said, I can't swim. She said, you have to throw yourself in the water.
Outen and other survivors eventually made it into a life raft, where she says they waited for 5 hours. The U.S. Coast Guard and Air Force sent rescue crews in, including an HC-130 rescue aircraft, which was on a training mission nearby.
As a fixed-wing pilot, we train to that, but I've not known anyone to survive ditching in the ocean.
All 11 people were flown to Melbourne, Florida, and checked into nearby hospitals.
Several of the passengers had medical issues. Some of those were exacerbated by this accident, so they were also treated for those as well.
I thank God they saw us and they saved us.
I'm Sherelle Hubbard reporting.
We are just getting started here on Coast TV News at 11. Coming up later, Delaware's old State House still stands as a reminder of the first state's early history. We'll have a look inside the historic building that once served as Delaware's capital. Tonight in sports, NFL schedule release day is here. See who your teams are slated to play in the 2026 season. And later, Chief Meteorologist Paul Williams is in the Coast TV First Alert Weather Center. He'll have your full forecast. But first, Lewes' link to history, the city's colonial experience, how Sussex County support for England in 1776 nearly changed the course of American independence.
While the city of Lewes bills itself as the first town in the first state, it might have been one of the last to embrace American independence. In this week's Coastal Connection, we look at how loyalty to Britain almost led to a different outcome in Philadelphia's Independence Hall during the summer of 1776. A trip to Lewis's Sussex Tavern in the historic campus is a trip back in time. Here, you're likely to find its manager, Bill Hicks, who, after 30 years as a teacher, traded the classroom for this colonial-era establishment in full 18th century apparel.
We try to be as authentic as possible within reason.
From setting up on the inside to the exterior, Hicks is attempting to replicate the look and feel of the original inn on 2nd Street.
Now, that building was torn down in 1831, but this building on our property best lent itself to be that recreation.
It is a great backdrop for this former teacher to give us a lesson about Delaware's early years as part of the British Empire.
Delaware has a very strange, convoluted history. William Penn takes over 1681. He gets his charter for the colony of Pennsylvania. Delaware was known as the lower 3 counties on Delaware. And so that's when we really got our start as a colony.
Penn also had a say in some of the names for the southernmost county.
And he says, we'll name the town Lewes after the town in England where my mother-in-law comes from. And we'll name the county Sussex after the county in England where my mother-in-law, he must have voted his mother-in-law big time, but in any event, the folks here got a much more palatable name, and we've been Lewes, 2 syllables ever since.
While this part of Delaware was one of the furthest areas from hence Philadelphia, it had some of the closest ties to England.
I always say Sussex County's been on the wrong side of history because back then in the 1770s, Sussex County was a hotbed of Tories and Loyalists.
And those Loyalists may have produced a different outcome in 1776 if it were not for a peculiar situation.
A petition is circulated throughout the county, here in Sussex County. 5,000 Tories signed that petition. 500 Patriots signed their own petition. They're all being sent up to the Capitol to help determine what course Delaware takes. Well, somewhere along the way, that loyalist petition disappeared.
With that, the unanimous vote for independence by all 13 colonies is secured, and a lesson worth hearing during our visit to the Sussex Tavern. For Coast TV, I'm Matt Pensick.
America 250 on Delmarva, brought to you by Park Place Jewelers.
It is a structure that was built at the end of the 18th century and today serves as a reminder of the early days of the first state in the United States of America.
A new state in a new nation. Delaware needed a new Capitol building in Dover. Construction on what we now refer to as the Old State House began in 1787, the same year Delaware ratified the Constitution. A Georgian-style structure was completed in May of 1791 and was originally the home of both the state and Kent County governments. The first floor featured a courtroom, while Delaware's House of Representatives and Senate were located on the second. Inside the Senate chamber, a 7-foot portrait of George Washington was displayed. The painting was the first of Washington commissioned after his death in 1799. The Old State House served as Delaware's Capitol building until 1933, when the General Assembly relocated to its current home at Legislative Hall. In 1976, the Old State House was restored to its original 18th century appearance as a part of Delaware's bicentennial celebration.
This May, Park Place Jewelers is celebrating an incredible milestone, 30 years in business, and it's all thanks to you.
To show our appreciation, we're inviting you to our anniversary sales event.
An incredible collection of fine jewelry where hundreds of pieces are offered up to 50% off savings now through May 22nd. Gorgeous diamond engagement rings, gemstone earrings, exquisitely designed pendants and bracelets, and elegant designer creations. So don't miss this opportunity to celebrate 30 sparkling years.
And let Park Place Jewelers put a sparkle in your life.
You know, we just can't catch a break. I mean, the kind of rain that we really need, I thought we had a decent shot at it earlier this morning. Didn't turn out that way. So here we go. We're back into the whole dry spell weather pattern. In Lewes right now, 55 degrees, dew point temperature of 44. We're going to drop to 52 with a few more extra clouds here and there. Live radar, listen, we're clear. Even the cloud cover has vamoosed out of the essence of in the area where we are. We're just bone dry in general, okay? Even the cloud cover is staying out of the way. This trough that helped create that little bit of rain we received, or at least helped create some cloud cover, now that's fallen off the edge, so to speak, literally off the map for us. And we have high pressure settling in behind it, so we're going to be quiet for a while. Now, we did record some rain. It wasn't all that impressive, but hey, a little is better than none, right? So we had up to a third to maybe a quarter from Greenwood, Seaford, Harrington, Adamsville, Milford, and Ellendale. Now, at our official sites, it didn't even look impressive. It looked even less impressive there than in the individual sites. Just 1/10 of an inch, for example, in Ocean City, and just barely over 1/10 in Salisbury as well as Georgetown, and less than 1/10 of an inch in Cambridge. A couple of other locations were 1/4 of an inch to just slightly below it. Lewis, Prime Hook, the lowest here, and up to 1/4 of an inch exactly for us actually in Laurel. So when you begin to kind of look at the tail of the tape, it's been like 42 days since we've had more than 1/2 inch of rain in one setting. The last time that happened was April the 5th. We're almost in mid-May right now, so we have a definite dry pattern that's happening, and overnight into the early morning hours, doesn't look like Mother Nature's going to cut us any slack. We have 55 right now, Indian River Inlet, Bethany Beach, Millsboro, as well as Bridgeville, and 54 in Gumboro and Delmar. We are cooler, about 8 degrees cooler now, but now that's going to flip over. But you know what? When you start thinking about that rain and the lack thereof, we're about 1 inch close to that shy for the month. And for the year, we're already 3 1/4, approaching 3.5 inches shy of where we're supposed to be for this time of the year. Now, where are we supposed to be? Along the coast, we're looking at very, very vibrant winds out of the northwest for tomorrow, but at least we will be in the 70s. You see, Friday morning, we start off cloudy. Then we see the winds coming out of the northwest, and we'll be in the 60s. A little bit on the cool side for Friday. But then the worm turns. We'll start off in the 50s for Saturday morning, but look where we'll end up. Voila! 81, 82 degrees, warmer than usual. Not record-breaking, but it is going to be warmer than usual. And then next week, it's going to be even warmer than that. And then when you add in the fact that we're looking for the dew point temperature to start to go up a little bit more, it might actually start feeling, dare I say, muggy. Keep that in mind. Real quick before we wrap it up, our All-Star Race weekend, Friday 70, Saturday 82, Sunday 89. And here's a look at your 7-day forecast. By the time we get to next week, we're talking 90s, baby, 90s.
Very exciting, Paul. Thank you. Dover Motor Speedway is getting ready for one of NASCAR's biggest weekends of the year. NASCAR's annual All-Star Race is this weekend for the first time at the world's fastest 1-mile oval and the first time in the Northeast. This is bringing a $1 million prize along with several competition-focused changes to the Monster Mile. Myatt Snyder is also expected to race on Saturday, May 16th, in a car honoring Trooper Ty Snook, who was killed in the line of duty last December. The Delaware State Police Museum is asking for donations to help make the tribute happen. 2 cases of chronic wasting disease have hit deer in Sussex County. Now, the deadly neurological disease doesn't transfer to humans, but it can have impacts on the hunting season. DNREC says they're monitoring and testing deer in Sussex County, working to eradicate the disease where necessary and notifying hunters in the area. The president of the Delaware Sportsman Association says they're happy with the state's response thus far.
There is something to be concerned, but not something that would keep you from hunting. There's certain precautions that you should take anyway when harvesting a deer and then preparing it. And they just say follow those instructions and things will be fine.
DNREC also asks anyone hunting deer for meat to get it tested for chronic wasting disease. This year is the 40th Youth Fishing Tournament in Delaware. DNREC says the last day to pre-register is May 29th. The tournament takes place on June 6th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. The free tournament will run at one pond for each county, including Blockhouse Pond in Lewes. DNREC says contestants must bring their own equipment and encourages catching and releasing. The Lewes Beach Patrol is gearing up for the summer with its 2026 Junior Lifeguard Program. The program will run Tuesdays and Thursdays at Savannah Beach, giving kids ages 5 to 15 hands-on experience in beach and water safety. Sessions begin June 23rd and run through early August. Spots are limited to just 20 participants per age group. Updates on projects at NASA Wallops Flight Facility in Accomack County were shared during a public information session last night. Wallops is preparing for its 4th round of beach replenishment since around 2010, something those in Accomack say is important not only for protecting infrastructure, but also building habitat for local endangered species.
It's going to be a lot of the same from now on. They're into the water, they're doing top-down construction, so they're just marching towards the middle from each side, placing their piers, placing their girders behind them and the deck behind them, and then they're done when they meet in the middle.
Wallops environmental planning officials say after the assessment is finalized and reviewed, they hope to start beach replenishment in early 2027.
The Delmarva Sports Network from the Wawa Studio.
Good evening, Delmarva. The long-awaited NFL schedule release day is here. So let's take a look at our nearby NFL teams to see how their schedules shake out for 2026.
Let's start with the Baltimore Ravens. They open up with the Indianapolis Colts in Week 1 at Lucas Oil Stadium. Then the home opener against the New Orleans Saints. Their toughest stretch of the year will likely be Weeks 7 through 12, which come before the Week 13 bye. They'll run through a gauntlet of Bengals, Bills, Jaguars, Chargers, Panthers, and then the Texans before getting a week off. The Flock play 4 games on prime time. Week 5 at Atlanta on Sunday Night Football, Week 9 at home against Jacksonville, then right after in Week 10 at the bank against the Chargers for Monday Night Football. Then in Week 17, a game, if history serves me right, likely with some playoff implications, at Cincinnati for Thursday Night Football on Prime Video. A short week divisional game at the end of the year, and it will certainly be a war of attrition. Lastly, the Philadelphia Eagles, who are the defending NFC East champs, they open up with, like I just mentioned, the Commanders in Week 1, but their schedule is, for now, considered a bit lighter this year compared to last. They do face 2 top 10 defenses from a year ago early on, but outside of that, it's fairly favorable until Week 15. Of course, everything is only a projection for now. 7 primetime games for the Eagles, probably the most notable, are Week 3 against the Bears, and 15 on Saturday night primetime against the defending Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawks. And then the very next week against that nasty Houston Texans defense. Schedules are out. How do you feel about your team?
That'll do it for sports. Have a great night, Delmarva.
Tonight, La Plaza, Delaware celebrated graduates of their 12-week spring business planning course and advanced business building program. Classes were held in Milford and Georgetown. Graduates shared their experiences tonight during a panel discussion, and our very own Telemundo Delmarva and CoastTV News reporter Ana Sofia Roman served as the keynote speaker.
That is, of course, Emmy-nominated Ana Sofia Roman. That's her name. And that's her fame. All right, take a look in Salisbury at 57 degrees. We'll drop to 49 with partly cloudy skies. We're looking pretty clear, pretty quiet, also dry. Not necessarily a good thing for us because we're still bone dry, and now we're in the midst of a serious drought condition that actually got worse despite the rain. Avra Gold of Newark, congratulations. You're our umbrella giveaway winner, courtesy of Paul Davis, property restoration experts. Keep up with your forecast by calling our weather line, sponsored by the law offices of Brockstead, Mandalis, and Federico. And here's a look at your 10-day forecast.
Paul, thank you. And thank you for joining us here for Coast TV News at 11. For more news and local weather, download our Coast TV News app. The Tonight Show, starring Jimmy Fallon, is up next. We will see you tomorrow for Coast TV News at 5 a.m. Have a great night.